honesty.
Do your job and hold his mic for a minute. What was so funny about someone actually dropping a dog on his head? What's wrong with that? Funny? It's not funny.
Wait, but you don't understand.
You know what?
Wait,
this guy caught me at the wrong time.
No, you don't understand. Wait,
take it to the car.
Take it back. You want to take it back? No, take it to the car. Wait, I take it back. I take it back, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No.
Sabotage.
No.
Best bodies in the business. Watch.
Please
Watch real good.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Yo, you don't understand.
I swear to God, if you ever look our way, smirk or anything, you think...
The minute we come in this building,
you go the other way.
Guys, money. Guys, I promise. Yo, you want money? I'll give you guys anything.
Yo, your money.
Yo.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, come on, Earl. That's not fair. Oh, he's attacking John Tony. Oh, he hit him. They hit him with the cannoli tray. He's laid out. Without Grim Reaper here, what are they going to do? Oh, Heartless. Oh, my God. Handcuffs by Tony. Tony Lowe has him. Tony Lowe and Joe's so delicious. They handcuffed on Tony and Grim Reaper. There's nothing they can do. Grim Reaper's gone. Come on, just stop this.
Before we get to anything else,
oh, Joe's so delicious.
Time for a little Q&A for my dog, Don Tony.
Q&A.
Oh my goodness! Oh, look at this! Look at this! They're just rubbing it in.
Every Thursday night, you ask the questions, DT gives you his answers. No holds barred.
It's Q&A with Don Tony. This is your chance to speak your mind and be heard about anything.
Q&A with Don Tony. And now, your host, Don Tony.
Memories. We're starting actually 2 minutes late, and I had to grab that video because of this. Look, I appreciate. Oh, that's the wrong one. All right, we're already starting off a little bit off. I tell you, I didn't think about this, but Tommy D with the 50 spot to open up the show. And for those in audio only, Tommy writes, you call yourself Don Tony, and NXT makes Tony D'Angelo Don Tony. I have a sit-down show, and they decide to do a sit-down with Tony D'Angelo, the Don. Last week, we showed video of me throwing someone in the trunk of my car, and this week, Tony D'Angelo throws a member of Legado in the car. Too many coincidences. If I'm a factor in any of that, believe me when I tell you I love it. I love every minute of it. I want to wish everybody good evening. May 12th, 2022. It is Thursday night. And, little tidbit. That clip I showed you where I was getting my ass kicked a little bit, Joe So Delicious has unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But if you watch that clip again, he says a little Q&A with Don Tony. And honestly, that's where I got the name of this show. Obviously, we wanted to do a Q&A, but I had watched that clip about a year ago, and I said, Q&A with Don Tony. You see how it all comes together sometimes? I love it. Thank you, Tommy. Feels good. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you've had a good week so far. This week is flown by. Tomorrow's Friday. We have the weekend. And I'm just going to let everyone know right up front. Tomorrow, I am technically getting not my second, but my third booster shot. I am scheduled to get another shot of Moderna at 1 o'clock tomorrow. I don't think I will have the side effects that I had with the last booster. And for anyone out there that's going to say, DT, wait a minute. No one has had the third booster. Okay, let me clarify this. And if anybody goes back, you know what I'm saying is true. In August of last year, I got my booster. But what happened was I got it right when they first approved the booster. And for about a 2-week span, the booster, the amount of medicine was twice as much the dose as what they normally give. So when I had the booster done in August of last year, I got a regular amount of medicine, not the half that they do now with boosters. So I technically had 2 boosters in one. Why am I getting it now? Well, I am getting married later this year. You know, I see some people in my inner circle getting sick, and I want to protect myself as much as possible. And, you know, hey, whatever happens, happens. I don't mind being a lab rat. I'd rather get less symptoms. You know, I haven't grown a third eye. You know, unfortunately, like my penis hasn't enlarged since then. You know, I kind of feel pretty good. So, the hell with it. Third shot, third booster coming tomorrow. Q&A with yours truly tonight. We will get into the Q&A a little bit earlier than usual tonight. We will mix in some news within it as well. If you go check out the main page for this episode, you will see some of the topics that are scheduled for tonight. And we do have a few important things to talk about. Now, before I go any further, let's just get the AEW rating out of the way. And, you know, little tidbit that I will point out to everyone. And, you know, this show, we are straight up. We will praise, we will criticize. You know, I think, are pretty fair with everything. So last night's AEW, some feel the best AEW, the most solid AEW episode to date. You know, and it was not a bad episode. And yes, we will talk about possibly the return of Darby Dumbass. You saw the spot yesterday. You know what I'm talking about. Do not misconstrue what I'm saying. Do I think he's a dumbass for what he did? Just wait a couple of moments and we'll get into it. But last week, AEW did 833,000 viewers. And this week, with all that hype, they did 840,000 viewers. 840. I have been saying this for 25 years. I'm sorry it sounds like a broken record, but the bottom line is your AEW pro wrestling fans chose to watch something else than pro wrestling on that Wednesday night. Blame it on the NBA, blame it on the NHL, blame it on politics, blame it on an earthquake, blame it on a terrorist attack, blame it on war, blame it on a debate, blame it on Survivor, blame it on whatever the fuck you want. I don't see any of those ever blaming shit on pro wrestling when their numbers suck. And you know what was interesting this week, everyone? Go see for yourself. Don't believe me? Go see for yourself. Look at all the usual suspects that will always make an excuse for when the AEW rating isn't what it should be in many people's eyes. Last week, when they reported the 833, they made it their business to show you what the ratings were for the 5, for Fox News, for the NBA. Remember all that? Every time they show you the ratings. This week, none of them showed you what the NBA rating actually was. If you think the rating was that good, you don't think that would have been the first thing that they put on there? And some places, they just wrote, oh, AEW viewership increases. Yeah, 7,000. The fuck out of here. Seriously. All right. Rampage tomorrow. You know, last week, Steve, they did what, 292 at the 5:30 p.m. time slot? Oh, okay. When you said 5:30, I thought you meant what Rampage rating is going to be tomorrow. No, for those interested, Rampage tomorrow will be on at 5:30 p.m. again. And you know what? We had a good turnout last week. Sure, this is probably the reason why. So I said, you know what? Let's do it again. If you're around tomorrow night between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m., you are welcome to join me right here for the AEW watch party. Everybody that is chatting, interactive on the floor, the first 6, if there's a few more than 6, I will do it anyway, but you will all get an AEW CM Punk card. I already shipped out all the cards that were claimed from last week. Anybody that, didn't claim theirs, sorry. But we already shipped them out. So if you want to stop in tomorrow, that's what we're going to do. And then we got the usual SmackDown watch party as well. And by the way, shout out to SoFly and KD. I decided to give each one of them this Goodfellas signed photo, signed by all 4 guys. That's, a little tribute for the Tony D'Angelo sit-down stuff for last week. So SoFly, KD, get in touch with me so I could send you out your photos. And everybody for the month of May that is interactive in the watch parties for Tuesdays, you'll be in a drawing to get this Toxic Attraction 11x14 poster signed by all 3 women. This is not on sale. You cannot find this anywhere. I got this from someone directly within WWE. They sending me 2, which is pretty cool. So not too late to be part of that. You still got the month of May. So you want to be part of these giveaways, you got to be part of the watch parties because that's the only place where we're doing these right now. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yesterday, Dynamite kicked off the Owen Hart Tournament. You had Martha Hart and the Hart family in attendance yesterday. And, nice to see them. Hey, look, just me. This is just me. I can't criticize her. Even if I think she's a little bit too harsh here or a little bit this here or a little bit this here, if my wife died tragically for a company, even if it was my wife's fault in the end, or even if it was not my fault of my wife or the company themselves, if I still had that anger, I can't relate to it. So it's not for me to say what she does and doesn't do. I've always brought this up before, but I bring it up again now. Did TNA Wrestling ever reach out to Martha Hart about doing something to pay tribute to Owen, maybe contribute donations to the Owen Hart Foundation? I can't find any record of it. I searched all my old shows, even the shows that I had pulled offline, way back when. I checked all my old synopses, and I can't find anything where TNA had ever reached out to Martha Hart about doing something. Martha Hart's animosity with WWE, she's going to take that to the grave. I don't see that changing. But, let's also say something else. That a lot of people obviously don't have the balls to say, and it's pretty common sense if you haven't figured it out. Bret Hart is not appearing in this tournament because the whole entire tournament is about the Owen Hart Foundation, which is run by Martha Hart. And Martha Hart and Bret Hart do not get along. So no, you're not going to see the moment where Bret Hart and Martha Hart are in the same room hugging or anything like that. That is the reason why Bret Hart is not being shown during this. Tony Khan did an interview a couple of days ago, and he got away with it because obviously these places like News 12, Long Island, everything else, they want to have further interviews. But when he said, look, I think Bret said it, that, he's happy what he's doing, and it's bullshit. Just say it. You never asked Bret Hart to be here for the beginning of the Owen Hart Tournament. Never did. Never did. But no one will do that because no one is going to put him on the spot like that. It's not a gotcha moment, but at least be a little bit honest about it. Owen Hart died tragically, and Martha Hart and Bret Hart are on total opposites with this. And AEW chose Martha Hart and the Owen Hart Foundation. Period. I'm not saying it's a good decision or a bad decision. That's just the facts, plain and simple. Any of you out there, if you ever talk to Bret Hart, or if you buy a cameo, or if you ever have the privilege of interviewing, just ask him, say, did AEW ever make you an offer to come down and be part of the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament? Let's see what the answer is. I'll bet the answer is no. Because if it would have been yes, everybody and their mother would have talked about it already. All right, let's talk about two more things related to this tournament. Yesterday, the tournament opened up with controversy. And what you saw yesterday is a lot of that toxic fandomhood out there that are pro WWE and anti WWE. And I'm going to say it. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if people don't like what I have to say. I speak my mind. How many people out there do you think that are really deep into the, I'm not talking about wrestlers now. Let me make this clear. I'm not talking about wrestlers. But you know that there is a core group of wrestling fans out there that in the last 20 plus years didn't bother to ever watch an Owen Hart match, didn't give a shit too much other than how messed up the tragedy was. And now they eat, bleed, sleep shit Owen Hart. And you know it's being done as a fuck you to WWE. Owen Hart died tragically. Owen Hart should never have had to do that spot. All right. I'm not disputing that. But you know that there is a large enough voice out there that is into this. Just fuck you, WWE. Fuck you. Now we're going to celebrate the legacy of Owen Hart that you couldn't do because you killed him. There's a crazy voice out there doing that. Now we go to the opposite side. This screenshot was yesterday. Owen Hart Tournament. You would think after Sammy Guevara did that dopey, and I'm a huge Guevara fan. I always have to open that disclaimer because if you don't, then everybody thinks I don't like him. I am a huge fan of Guevara. But just because you could dive off the top of a building, just because you could dive off, now look at that referee who is 6 foot tall. Figure out, okay, Darby Allin is probably about what? 18 feet up in the air, 16 feet up in the air, and then you go from the edge of the ring to the floor at what, 22 feet from there? You see Guevara take that stupid move, and then Darby Allin does it off of the top of the ladder, minus one step, outside the ring, onto a bunch of chairs. Now, of course, you had these whacked out people yesterday. How could you do that in the Owen Hart Tournament? Owen Hart took a horrible fall. What if Darby would have been seriously injured? Yeah, it could have happened. Imagine the visual and the aesthetics of it. That this guy jumps off the top of a ladder outside the ring onto a bunch of chairs, that all he's got to do is go 3 inches to the left and his spine lands right on the edge of the chairs. And the guy could have legitimately been paralyzed because of it. Just because you could do it doesn't mean you should. And Tony Khan, where the fuck are you to tell these guys, you gotta stop that. You gotta, hey guys, gals, look, I don't care if these guys do it or don't do it. You know, it's freedom. It's freedom. Hey, you want to end your career 10 years earlier? You want to be like the Dynamite Kid and end up in a wheelchair, you know, and totally fucked up and crazy amounts of pain? If that's what you want to do, then that's what you do. That's how I look at it. I don't wish it on Jeff or Darby or anyone else. But if this is what they want to do, then let them do it. Seriously. But I don't want fans, you know, if Darby Allin's career cuts off 5-10 years early and everybody's sobbing, oh, what should have been, could have been, and this and that. But right now, everybody that is just obsessed with it is into Crash TV. You know, I mean, where does Tony Khan step in and is like, look, you know, I love it. It's epic. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. I can't believe they're doing this for my promotion. It's, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And all the little GIFs online and the memes and everything, whatever it is, you know, they're all going bonkers. It's an impressive spot. Is that fucking needed? Is that really needed? So, I don't know if this should have kicked off the Owen Hart tournament. You know, let's also keep this in perspective. You know, and to me, it's more about the move itself, not the tournament. Back when Owen Hart was wrestling, Owen Hart never wrestled for ECW. Owen Hart passed in the 90s. Owen Hart was part of a generation that didn't do this, that didn't jump off of ladders like this. Yeah, I know Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon did it, and Shawn and Brett did it first and everything like that. But Owen Hart was never in that era. So this is why I don't compare this to Owen Hart. That's why I'm not saying, oh, that's fucked up. You do that with the Owen Hart tournament. I'm just saying that to put yourself in a situation where you could have gotten seriously injured, opening up a tournament for somebody who tragically died, you know, it's just unnecessary. I don't care if you're diving off a ladder. I don't care if you're going on to a I don't care if you're just going 6 feet down. You'd think after the Sammy spot, you know, Tony Khan would say, look, guys, you know, I appreciate it. I know you guys are crazy motherfuckers and everything, but, you know, it's just too risky. It's too risky. If people love Darby Allin, you don't need to do that shit. If they love Sammy Guevara, he doesn't need to do that shit. If Darby Allin has to do that because he needs the adrenaline rush, because he needs that high, he needs that, because there are risk takers that have to have that. Send him to a fucking doctor. Send him to a doctor. Because when do you stop? Where does the bar get set? Like, what's your limitation? Oh, I got away with this. Well, let me do a little bit more. Well, let me go a little higher. You know, let me do this instead. Why put yourself in a situation where you're playing Russian roulette with your career? That's Russian roulette with his career. I don't care about that. It was the Owen Hart tournament. I will say this. I don't know if any of you saw it. This was Darby Allin's tweet late last night. And I checked his Twitter before I went live tonight to make sure that there was nothing added. And all it is the same screenshot I just showed at him at the top of the ladder. And all he writes is, thanks, New York. My reaction to that, where's the tweet, Darby, that says, thanks, Owen? Thanks, Owen. This is the Owen Hart tournament. This is not the Darby Allin hour. That's how I look at this. Just expressing an opinion, everyone. I don't want to see the guy's career cut short. But who am I? I'm an old guy. I'm an old man with a podcast. Let the old people, let them die with their egos on podcasts. No, I'm not putting myself in the same boat as Eric Bischoff or Booker T or anyone else. But let's segue quickly to Eric Bischoff and CM Punk. You haven't paid attention online. Eric Bischoff and CM Punk have been having a little bit of a war on Twitter. Where this all starts is something. And let me say one other thing about Darby Spot. When you keep seeing this stuff, people get numb to it. You watch a gory horror film for the first time, even if it's special effects, obviously. You watch a gory slasher film for the first time, you might get nightmares creep the fuck out, and you might just find it unbelievably disturbing. You go and watch the second one, you watch the third one, you watch the fourth one. By the time you watch the 10th one, oh, stop. This is kids' play. Are you kidding me? Come on. Hey, give me, that's ridiculous. You become numb to it. Keep doing this shit. People get numb to it. You got to do better than that, Darby. We've seen that before. That's another thing. Yeah, I still get nightmares from The Exorcist too. Anyway, Bischoff and Punk. Look, we're going to keep this quick because I want to get into Q&A. Time flies when you're having fun. Just to summarize it, you have heard me say on these shows many times over the last year that when you look at 800,000 or 900,000 viewers that watch AEW programming, I always ask you, you'll never be able to get this answer because people who are hardcore AEW fans who also watch WWE, if you put this poll up, they would never answer truthfully. Because if they are uber supporters of AEW, they want to give the impression that most AEW fans only watch AEW and won't watch WWE. Think about that. Makes sense. It's common sense. But you ask yourself, out of the 800,000 or 900,000 fans that watch AEW programming, how many of them do you think also watch WWE? Half? 500,000? 600,000? Yeah, I think so. Because I always talk about it. 90%, 90 to 95% of everybody that I socialize with online that watch AEW, I always see them commenting about Raw. I always see them commenting about SmackDown. Not necessarily NXT, but most watch WWE programming. So when you realize that you have a wrestling fans, and the majority of them watch everything, you know, the difference is SmackDown gets 2 million viewers. Raw gets 1,600,000. And what Eric Bischoff did on his podcast with Conrad is Eric Bischoff gave an opinion, and I'm not defending Eric Bischoff. I'm telling you exactly how it went down. He gave his opinion on what he thought AEW needed to do to get those casual fans, that 900,000 fans that may only watch wrestling a couple of times a month, that may watch WWE, but don't watch AEW. Because remember, AEW gets 900,000 fans. SmackDown gets 1.6 million. So there are 700,000 fans minimum that are watching WWE program that are not watching AEW. How do you get those fans? And he feels that WWE does a better job catering to the casual fan. Gave some opinions on creative. And CM Punk's advice is, can we stop paying attention on all these old dipshits and their egos and let them die on their podcasts? That's the difference. This is the culture. This is the climate I've been talking about. When people express opinions, you have people that are very powerful in what they say. And they have this toxic, let's just shut down all the old people, the out of touch, the outdated people. You know, here you have, even Booker T talked about it today. You know, Booker T's pissed off because CM Punk brushed a broad stroke. He's specifically said, can we let all these old people die with their podcast and their egos? This is the culture. CM Punk used to be the voice of the voiceless. Now CM Punk is the voice of the assholes, the toxic cancel culture. You express Bischoff, some of what he says I agree with. Some I don't agree. But Bischoff is giving an opinion on what he thinks could help improve AEW. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. He didn't say that this sucks or this is wrong. He just felt that WWE does a better job catering to casual fans. Why this hostility from some big voices in WWE? I'll tell you the reason why CM Punk does this. I brought it up, and I have specifically told all of you a few times. Take note that no one else talks about it. When Tony Khan announced the creation of Rampage, if you see, I'm talking to you, I'm not reading nothing. It's just straight from here and here. Tony Khan, in a press release, when he first announced Rampage, said that he wants to give an alternative and he wants to get those wrestling fans back that have fallen out of love with pro wrestling. CM Punk, a short time after joining AEW, I think it was in November of last year, said he doesn't believe that there are casual fans anymore. He feels that they are gone and they're never coming back. So if CM Punk believes that, and then you got Eric Bischoff offering opinions and saying that WWE does a better job at something, that totally goes against how CM Punk feels. And CM Punk went totally against of what Tony Khan said. Nobody brings that up because nobody wants, Tony Khan and CM Punk to be contradicting each other. But this is the climate that I talk about. Look, I stopped doing Wednesday shows for a little while, and I'm going to be bringing it back shortly. I stopped doing it on Wednesday night for the simple reason that the climate, the culture is disrespectful. I have had a couple of personal instances that were very disrespectful for me. And it's like, okay, I'll talk about AEW. I'm not going to stop covering it. I'm not going to stop watching it, but I'll do it Thursday night at 9:00. I'm not going to do it Wednesday right after they go off the air that I have to watch and take tons of notes and watch this and follow this and follow this and cut this and this and that and then go to sleep at 2:30 in the morning. For what? For what? Why should I do that late on a Wednesday night? I'll cover it at my leisure because there's a lot of disrespect, and the disrespect continues. Look, Tony Khan earlier this week said that Hangman Page has had the greatest AEW championship run, heavyweight championship run of anybody. Right. That's a matter of debate. Some people feel Moxley. Me personally, I say Kenny Omega. Because Kenny Omega also did AAA, also did Impact. We were in COVID era. Obviously, there was a lot of special circumstances, but it's a matter of opinion. People go against Tony Khan's view about Hangman Page, or they say, are you kidding me? I brought it up the other day. Roman Reigns has wrestled 14 times in the last 2 months. Hangman Page has wrestled twice. You see the social media going crazy the last couple of days that Roman Reigns is going to take time off. Oh, doom and gloom for WWE. Doom and gloom for WWE. Yet they don't say a goddamn word about Hangman Page having 2 matches in 2 months. At that rate, Hangman Page, in order to wrestle 14 times, it would be June of next year. And yes, I have no idea if AEW watch these shows, but a lot of times it's very, very interesting. We brought up Ruby Soho, 1 win in 2022 on TV, 15 wins in 2022 on YouTube. I call TV network and I call YouTube. What's the matter? She's not good enough for Warner Media? Where's the 15 wins on Warner Media? Suddenly she's in a tag match on Rampage. Suddenly she's on Rampage next week. A week later, we talked about Jay Lethal. Remember that thumbnail? Jay Lethal ranked number 3. And then what happened? The following week he lost, and 2 weeks later, no more ranking system. I don't know if we were a factor, and I have no idea. I know I'm not going to get a tweet from Tony Khan. Hey, thank you for the idea. I love the ranking system now. It's what it should have been from day one. But we talked about Hangman Page last week having 2 matches. And now they announced that he's going to take on Takeshita, or some people say Takeshita, next Wednesday. Nothing against Takeshita. He's talented. But honestly, do I fucking care that Hangman Page is wrestling Takeshita next Wednesday? It's what, to put an extra win under his belt, to get an extra notch under his belt. It's just strange that when you catch on to it, suddenly they appear, magically appear. So that's the problem when you see with AEW. And Tony Khan now playing this off that, oh, I'm listening to the fans on Twitter. I'm taking some ideas. It's because Tony Khan is trying to get on the better side of a lot of people on Twitter. Oh, he does listen to us. Hey, Tony, how do you know if you're not talking to a bot? What the fuck happened? This is 2-3 weeks now. Why don't you show us who the bots are? Are they going to get offended? Are they going to sue you? Is the bot going to show up at your house and put a dead bot in a bag? You're going to have a bot's head in your bed, like the Godfather with the horse? What's he afraid of? You think the bot mafia is going to come after you? Not butt mafia, the bot mafia. Show us the bots. Paid all this money. I got research. I got proof. There's tons of bots online. Show us who the bots are. So we stop hanging out with them. So we stop communicating with them. So we all block them. Where are the bots? How do you even know if the people you're taking, how do you know you're taking an idea for people on, hey, that's a great idea. How do you know it's not a bot trying to sabotage your shit? Hey, look, I got a great idea. Let's put Takeshita versus the heavyweight champion. Oh, this is the most important match of my career, says Mr. Takeshita. Well, guess what? Mr. AEW fan, for the most part, don't give a shit. All right, that's nice. Wrestle in Tony Khan's living room. I know, the plot twist. Tony Khan is a bot. I don't think bots grow hair like that. I like Tony Khan. But man, you have a large internet voice out there with no backbone. I don't want to use the P word because there's a lot of genuinely good wrestling fans out there that want to see AEW do better, that love AEW, and they have a few things about it that they don't like, and they're scared into silence. CM Punk is the voice of the voice. The voiceless are being voiceless because when they do speak up, oh, who the fuck asked you? Who the fuck are you? What are you, stupid? This is and that. You don't know the history. You don't know the Easter egg. You don't know this. What are you, fucking dumb? Look, Danhausen came out and they gave him the jobber entrance. And look, that's a gem. And oh yeah, how did you all not pick up on that? And this, that. Fuck you. Seriously, I just want to be a wrestling fan. And if I don't like something, I speak out on it. That's why I do it here. I don't do it on Twitter anymore. I write something on Twitter and it gets no reaction, and I realized it. The reason why it gets no reaction is because if people like it, then basically you're pissing off everybody else out there that does the opposite on social media. I guarantee if I go on Twitter right now and I write something really against WWE and pro AEW, you'll see about 60, 70 people like it. All right. So before we get into questions for the rest of the show, let's talk about Roman Reigns a little bit. Roman Reigns, big news story last couple of days. I told you, Andrew Zarian, he said it perfectly. See, I'm going to educate everybody something right now that a lot of you haven't thought about. When Brock Lesnar was heavyweight champion, now I'm not talking about a couple of years ago where he was just absent, when Paul Heyman tried to justify it by saying he's an attraction like Andre the Giant, and when he appears, it's like a holiday, and you should not be used to seeing him on TV. And he was gone 2-3 months at a time, and it was awful. It was awful. But when Brock Lesnar was champion recently, he was doing some house shows here and there. But over the years, you had Triple H as champion, and there were many times Triple H did not do house shows. You had wrestlers that were heavyweight champions for WWE, and they did not do every single house show. Roman Reigns, since he has come back from leukemia, has been working nonstop. Sure, it's not the schedule from 20 years ago, but Roman Reigns has been working overtime, being the head of WWE. He is the most searched person on social media amongst any athletes for a reason. The man has worked out obsessively with his body, with his nutrition, with balancing out his family life, touring, doing everything. The man is entire. If there's anybody out there in wrestling that deserves a week or two off here, a week off here, not work this little house show for 3,000 people, this and that. If anybody deserves it, it's Roman Reigns. And what happens? People jump the gun. Oh, Roman Reigns is going to be off WWE till September. That was the report last week. Everybody ran and wrote their blogs and tweeted and did podcasts about it because they wanted this. They wanted to get everybody to tune into their stuff. Doom and gloom. How could you do that? Heavyweight champion, unified champion, undisputed unified heavyweight champion. How the fuck are you going to do that when he's till September? And then, oh no, well, it's, just, the stadium shows he'll be part of. And then Andrew writes his report. No, couple of house shows. He's going to be off. He'll be off TV for a week or two. And they're giving him some time off to rest, cutting back his schedule a little bit. And almost nobody commented on what he said. Almost nobody retweeted what he said. Why? Because of what I wrote in the response. Because of what Andrew said is the truth. And a lot of times the truth is boring. The truth is not, clickbait. It's not sexy. It doesn't spark conversation. No, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know the truth. I got to talk about doom and gloom. The fuck is WWE going to do? Their biggest wrestler in the company is going to disappear. Blah, 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 blah. That's what I got to dramatize it, make it seem like the end of the world. Fact is, Roman Reigns is getting what you call a respite and is much deserved. And in my opinion, I think that is a tremendous idea. And Hell in a Cell is an example of it. On the screen right now, I have the latest promo poster for Hell in a Cell. And Roman Reigns is not on it. Because Roman Reigns is not going to have a title defense until there's a big storyline attached to it. He's not going to be part of Hell in a Cell. Well, guess what? Cody Rhodes is going to be the main event in Hell in a Cell. Here's a fact that a lot of you may not realize. Cody Rhodes never headlined an AEW pay-per-view. I mean, he was involved in some very important matches, but Cody was always considered the undercard. Having Roman Reigns off TV for a little bit, in my opinion, is very important. Yes, when your favorite is not on TV, you're disappointed, you're annoyed, of course. But now other people get a little bit of an opportunity, get a little bit extra spotlight. Cody Rhodes, the focus is on him. Drew McIntyre, a little extra focus is on him. Seth Rollins and others, you're spreading it around a little bit. Roman Reigns is not injured. He's not burned out. He's not leaving for Hollywood just yet. They want to, give him rest, protect his career. It's not just a physical rest. It's an emotional rest. It's pressure. It's not just let me go out there, have a great time and make the fans all happy and go home. And yeah, I did my job and let's go get burgers afterwards. So AJ Styles, even though it's not featured on there, gets to step up a little bit. Maybe Edge, the whole storyline with Judgment Day. Put the focus on the other guys. So there's no way you could tell me a billion-dollar company, yes, their number one guy is getting some time off, and that's a bad thing or doom and gloom. And you know what the worst part is? A lot of people out there that are voicing this major problem for WWE, they're the ones that usually crap on everything about WWE. They're the ones that usually act like, I don't fucking watch that. I don't fucking watch it. I don't care about that. Okay, fine. If you don't watch it, nobody forces you to. But, don't tell me that if Cody and Seth Rollins headline Hell in a Cell, that I'm supposed to be like, well, this pay-per-view, no matter what, without Roman Reigns on it, it's asinine. So that's my opinion of what you have all dealt with the last couple of days. It's boring. The truth is boring. It's not sexy, but the truth is the truth. And Roman Reigns, he will have some time off. He will have a week or two here. But remember, Brock Lesnar is still under contract. Brock could reappear. Cody gets a little bit more of a spotlight. Seth gets a little bit more of a spotlight. Now, with Cody and Seth main eventing, someone else now could get a little boost as well. Because there's going to come a time that Roman Reigns will be injured. Hopefully not, but it could happen. Our bodies are not perfect. You could tear a muscle. You could break a bone. Anything can happen. So you want to have others ready. And not only that, have the fans, adapt to them as may. I saw today, and I understand why the person wrote it. I'm not criticizing the person. They wrote this poll. How many of you out there want to see Randy Orton main eventing? And I'm thinking about the last pay-per-view, thinking about most Raws. And outside of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton has been, it's pretty much backing up what I'm saying. No one else has really been in that main event closing out the shows. But they're making it seem like Randy Orton is all the way down here on the food chain. Randy Orton is probably the most over person on the Raw roster. Randy Orton is tag team champion. Randy Orton just main evented the last pay-per-view, WrestleMania Backlash. And they're talking like Randy Orton, he needs to be elevated and pushed to the top. If you want to say, do you want Randy Orton would have the heavyweight championship again, then say it. If you want Randy Orton to feud with Roman Reigns, then say it. But to just say, you want Randy Orton to main event again? Talk about a general, statement there. Against who? Against who? Personally, I think Randy Orton should get a title match again. But I'd like to see him win one. The problem is, Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes, those are the two odds-on favorites to get gold again. As much as we like Randy Orton, I really don't want to see Randy Orton leapfrog Cody, unless it leads to a feud and maybe Cody beats Randy for the belt. I don't want to see Randy leapfrog Drew McIntyre because Drew McIntyre is on some pretty damn good momentum. A lot of people were writing him off last year's WrestleMania. After he lost, I think Bobby Lashley was the champ. Everybody was writing Drew, back to mid-card. How many, you forget? How many people, back to mid-card. Drew McIntyre, he had his run. That's it. No. We're not going back there again. Drew McIntyre has been able to maintain that against the odds. I don't want to see anyone leapfrog them. But you know what? Maybe Randy Orton is right below the next to last match to close out the night. Or you have Randy take on Cody. I think that would be a fun match. Maybe you do something like that. But I don't want people leapfrogged over, because the fans are already getting Randy Orton. They're enjoying Randy Orton. If you want Randy Orton to be heavyweight champion, then just say it. Does it really matter if Randy Orton has the last show of the night or the next, especially what we've been enjoying the last year and a half? Especially with AEW, they open up pay-per-views and TV sometimes with a spectacular match, heavyweight title match, very huge matches. They have opened up with a bang. So I don't care what part of the night somebody's on, as long as they have a good high-profile match. Okay. Very quickly, I want to give you just some quick results from Dynamite yesterday in NXT. And I want to get into the brackets for the men's Owen Hart Tournament because my picks are still alive. And, a lot of people have been asking me I never revealed who I want to see win the whole tournament. Well, I'm going to give you two scenarios in a moment. It might surprise some people. and the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament. So first, yesterday in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament, round 1, we had Adam Cole over Dax Harwood. And then obviously we had Jeff Hardy beating Darby Allin to advance. CM Punk, once again playing the heel on Long Island, comes out with a John Tavares Islanders jersey. You know, for everyone out there, you're not required to watch hockey. You're not required to understand anything with the Islanders or the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the reason why he got massive heel heat in Long Island is because a lot of the Long Islanders are hockey fans. And John Tavares, when he came to the Islanders, he said, oh, I will be an Islander for life. And now he's on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So CM Punk was trolling the fans. CM Punk trolling Hangman Page, using the buckshot lariat on John Silver. I loved it. But as I'm watching, I'm saying to myself, oh, here we go. Here we go. If the casual wrestling fan doesn't understand, why is he wearing a John Tavares jersey? You don't know? How could you call yourself a... the fuck out of here. The villain thinks Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole in the finals, or Joe versus Cole. Not too bad. Not too bad. Hold your thought. Because as soon as we get the results, Fish, I will give you my picks. It's going to surprise some people. Tony Nese over Danhausen in a squash. After the match is over, Tony Nese, little beatdown to Danhausen. Hook makes the save. Booker T, or should we say Hooker T and Dandust? Because it reminds me of a little Booker T and Goldust. Now we need to see them do skits in the stores. Or maybe the coffee shop. I want to see Danhausen and Hook on the street. Go to Red Hook. I want to see that. But Hooker T and Dandust, they're now aligned with each other. I like it. I like it. MJF, Wardlow contract signing. They're going to wrestle. First, he's going to wrestle in a steel cage match against Shawn Spears with MJF as the guest referee. All right. You know, it feels a little bit like what they did with Miz and Mustafa Ali. That's okay. Wrestling copies each other. They've been doing it for a lifetime. No problems there. Oh, and by the way, Tony Nese and Hook, that's where they're going with this. Big shout out to everyone 5 weeks ago when I said that Tony Nese and Hook, that's the program that they're aiming for, and everybody was, well, not everybody, but some of you out there are like, DT, what are you talking about? They're not doing nothing with Hook and Tony Nese. Bafangul. Ricky Starks, and I say that with love. Ricky Starks over Jungle Boy to retain the FTW title. Now it seems that they're teasing Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee fighting for tag titles as well, and Christian might be turning heel. Might be turning against Jurassic Express. He's done his job. Now it's time to break away. Kind of what Jericho did with Guevara and a few others. Now it's time for me to break away a little bit. That's fine. Good with it. Jericho Appreciation Society. They end up interacting, going at it a little bit with John Moxley, Wheeler, Utah, and Bryan Danielson. We even see William Regal take a shot at Jericho, which everybody loved. So we will see a little bit of a feud there. That's fine. I'm good with it. Tony Storm beating Jamie Hayter to advance in the tournament. Good match. Not a bad match at all. I cannot complain there. And as we said, their rating was 840, a drop up from the 833. Mal, welcome to the family. Mal. I hope that's not short for malnutrition. So. Or malware. Hope you're not related to Coco, right? Hope your name is not Mal Beware. So, all right, Rampage this Friday. We have Shawn Spears versus Bear Boulder. I guess, let's guess who could win that match. The Death Triangle versus the Butcher, the Blade, and Mark Quinn. We have Ruby Soho versus Riho in the Owen Hart Foundation quarterfinal. And we will have Scorpio Sky defending the TNT Championship against Frankie Kazarian. Injury note. Hikaru Shida apparently is injured and cannot compete in the Owen Hart Tournament. I don't know if it's a legit injury. I have not looked into it yet. I will look into it. but Chris Statlander will be taking Hikaru Shida's place in the tournament. So that's what we're looking at right now. So before we get to NXT, then we'll do questions. Give you the results first. Now we'll get into the tournaments. Actually, you know what? Before we get into NXT, let's talk about the men's Owen Hart Tournament. On the left side, the first brackets on the left side, we have Rey Fénix versus Kyle O'Reilly. We have Samoa Joe versus the Joker. On the right side, we had Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin and Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood. So now people have been asking me, hey, DT, who do I think is going to win all of this whole thing? Now, I've come up with two scenarios. Depending on who the Joker is, I will tell you one scenario, I'm leaning towards the Joker to win it all. Even though in my gut, I could see this particular Joker winning it all, there is one reason that is stopping me more than anything else, and I will tell you why. I'm going to show you two predictions on these brackets. I will tell you that the end result is the same for both. But if you look at this bracket that I put together, now I said last week that Jeff Hardy would beat Darby Allin and Adam Cole would beat Dax Harwood, so that is still correct. So we will have Jeff Hardy versus Adam Cole next, and then that winner will go to the finals and wrestle at the pay-per-view. On the left side, my original prediction is that Rey Fénix would beat Kyle O'Reilly and the Joker would beat Samoa Joe. And the only reason why I am going with the Joker over Samoa Joe is because Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, I think they could very well get involved with this. I don't want Jay Lethal as the Joker. Everybody thinks the Joker is somebody who has not currently been seen in AEW. So I kind of lean towards the Joker advancing. Now, the problem is, with the Joker advancing, who would have a good match with Rey Fénix? Now, we talked about Willie Mack and the former Bronson Reed, Jonah, that they have left Impact Wrestling. And I could see them possibly, but who is going to have a good match with Rey Fénix? And I just don't feel, that vibe with those two guys. Now, let me go to the other tournament prediction. And here on this one, the only change you see is Kyle O'Reilly advancing. And the only reason why I chose Kyle O'Reilly to advance is because they could tease for a week or two that Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole could possibly go to the finals. And, as he said earlier, and I agree, it's a great idea. The villain thinks he could see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole in the finals, or even Samoa Joe. That is not bad. But if the Joker is who my original guess was, and that's Cesaro, who's now known as Claudio Cesaro. Cesaro, say that fast. Cesaro. If Claudio ends up being the Joker, I could possibly see him winning it all. I could see Claudio winning this and getting a little bit of props where WWE never gave him a heavyweight title run. I could see the Joker winning it all. The only reason why I did not put the Joker in the as the winner and I put Adam Cole instead, there's only one reason that I choose Adam Cole no matter what scenario. And I could be way off on this, but this is just my opinion. And Bash 8 is on to what I'm about to say. As we already talked about, the trios titles will be announced and the tournament will start after the Owen Hart Tournament is over. They're waiting for the Owen Hart tournament to be over to start that. Now, a lot of people think, you know, the Blackpool Combat Club would be the favorites to win the trios titles. I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. A lot of people think the Undisputed Elite could be winners of the trios titles. Kenny Omega, when he returns, if he returns in time, he and the Young Bucks could be trios champions. You know, there's other picks you could go with also that are not bad picks. Here's the thing, though. Adam Cole is not going to be heavyweight champion anytime soon. Adam Cole is not going to be TNT champion anytime soon. He's certainly not going to be TBS champion, and he's not going to be a tag team champion. A lot of people have criticized Adam Cole's AEW run so far. Some of it, I think, is totally unfair. I mean, he's got to have some important accolade under his belt in AEW. And in my opinion, the only accolade I could see in the very near future is winning the Owen Hart tournament. If I thought he would be a tag team champion or a heavyweight champion or a TNT champion soon, then I would choose someone else to win this whole thing. But I think Adam Cole needs a big win in AEW, a win that has something attached to it. And the Owen Hart tournament is the only thing I see right now. So I'm going with Adam Cole to win it all. But if Cesaro wins, as a fan, I'd love to see Cesaro get it. But when you look at AEW and his run so far, I think him winning that tournament is a big deal. All right. You know what? I'll throw this out here now before we go any further, because I know a few of you asked earlier. And, all right. If you're looking on the screen, AEW filed the trademark for a new logo for Ring of Honor. And that's what it is. Now, let me clarify it, because a lot of people don't understand trademarks. We don't need to get into my history with trademarks, but if you don't know my history with trademarks in wrestling, just do a Google search, type in my real name and ECW trademark, and you'll have some fun times. Trust me. When you trademark something, you're not putting it in full color. It is a black and white template. It is the design that you're looking to trademark. You're not designing the colors. So this is why most logos, when you qualify for a trademark, they're in black and white. This is not going to be the color of the Ring of Honor logo. You know, it might be a little darker, and you might see a little different shade of white, but it's not. This is not the final color. Now, I might be way off on this, but when I saw the logo, I said, man, that looks awfully similar to something. I mean, I know I have seen a very similar font like that recently. And I Googled it and I found it. And look, you may not think the same, but you ever hear of Eurogamer? Eurogamer? EUROGAMER. I mean, I'm very familiar with Eurogamer. This is their logo. And when I saw the Ring of Honor logo, I said, you know, that looks so familiar. I can't put my finger on it. And I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, I think that's it. It does look the same. Now, obviously, this is ROG is just, I condensed it down for 3 letters, but that's part of the Eurogamer font. So it does look a lot similar. So, but I'm not saying that they copied off of it. You know, let's make something clear. AEW didn't invent the font. So you're not going to go on Google or Reddit and say, hey, you know, anybody know the AEW font? You know, the ROH font? No, they took the font from something else. But I don't really have a problem with the logo. You know, I want to see it on a belt. I want to see it, you know, on some stuff. But that's the logo that they trademarked. And look, just because they apply for that trademark doesn't mean that they have to go with that. They get it approved, they can use it, but they may end up with a different idea down the line. I'll tell you this much. I'm a little surprised that if they had other designs, I'm surprised that they didn't poll the fans. Hey, which one of these logos do you like the most? See what the fans think. The problem with that, though, is, and let's be a little honest here, problem with that is that unless you trademark the logos first, you put out 4 or 5 logos and you ask people to vote on it, and someone thinks, oh, man, that logo looks sweet. I'm going to go trademark it right now. Trust me, some asshole with a lot of money out there could very well go and file a trademark right underneath AEW's nose. Like, they'll ask you, like, names of events and this and that. But, yeah, logos you got to be really careful about. You don't want to, you know, show your hand, because unless you don't go through the motions, and sure, AEW doesn't want to waste money, but maybe you trademark a few logos and then you make fans, you know, you do a little bit of voting and ask the fans what they think of it. So, all right. NXT, very quickly. Yesterday, Toxic Attraction over Wendy Chu and Roxanne Perez to retain their tag titles. Creed Brothers are taking on the Viking Raiders next week. And Creed Brothers were not happy with Roderick Strong last week. And they want to do this on their own. And Roderick Strong announces Damon Kemp as the newest member of Dynamite. Joe Gacy in the ring with the 2 hooded men. They did not reveal who they are just yet. I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. And him basically telling Braun Breaker to join his journey or face the consequences. Braun returns next week. Ivy Nile all throughout the show doing a fitness challenge. She's doing push-ups. She's doing pull-ups. She's doing stuff outside. All the things that there ain't no way that I would do even once right now. In the first round of the NXT Breakout Tournament, Fallon Henley over Sloane Jacobs. And we also had Nikita Lyons over Ariana Grace, who is Santino Marella's daughter. So they will advance. Robert Stone and Von Wagner, little backstage promo. Ika Man Hero shows up and brawls a little bit with Von Wagner. Wes Lee issues a challenge to Zion Quinn. They will be having a match next week. We see we see the stuff with Legado del Fantasma and Tony D'Angelo's group. We have Santos Escobar doing an interview. AJ Galante got what he deserved. And then Cruz del Toro, he goes to the car. And anybody who was in my watch party, we called every moment of it. Soon as we saw, hey, Cruz, go get the car, we were like, oh, man, stupid mistake. He's going to get jumped. And then we were like, throw him in the trunk. Throw him, because the skip from last week, my old fish, throw him in the trunk. They threw him in the trunk and sped off. And then later on, they can't find Cruz, so Santos Escobar calls Tony D'Angelo, and they're arguing on the phone. And I was literally yelling at the TV during the watch party. I'm like, no, stupid. Hang up on him. Don't give him the last say. Hey, Santos, hang up on him. The worst thing, the best thing, which is the worst thing you could do to somebody connected, especially Italians, is you have the last word and you hang up on them. Because they always got to get the last. I always have to get the last word. You all know that. So they're on the phone. I'm like, hang up on him. And then Santos like, oh, one more thing. Fuck you. And hangs up on Tony D'Angelo. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was good. I enjoyed it. Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams get locked out of the building temporarily by Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa wants Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes hits the ring, tells Solo Sikoa, look, I got to fight Carmelo Hayes next, but I promise you'll get a title shot. And then Hayes and Trick Williams hit the ring, ambush Cameron Grimes. Much to our dismay, Solo Sikoa makes the save. We'll probably see that tag match next week. And, the match that everybody's talking about. Natalya beating Cora Jade. And I loved it. Because what happened at the end of that match is what we've been talking about for a long time now. Now, if anybody, again, you watched the watch party, if you're a member of the watch party, you could go now and watch the archive of, our episode Tuesday, because the archives are up there. Towards the end of the match, I said Cora Jade should pass out from the pain. And that's what happened. She passed out. The ref calls for the belt. Natalya beats Cora Jade. But the one thing that we wanted, everybody that was there that night said Natalya is going to show a sign of respect. And we were having flashbacks of The Undertaker and Jeff Hardy. No, I'm not saying Natalya and Cora Jade, it's equivalent to Undertaker and Jeff Hardy. But I always remember that match with Undertaker and Jeff Hardy. And every time Undertaker walked away, Jeff is like, I'm still standing. And Undertaker comes back, beats the shit out of him a little bit more. And then the last time, Undertaker, you think he's going to lay out Jeff Hardy one more time, and he just picks him up, he gives him a little pat, and Undertaker's got this look on his face like, what am I going to do? Like, showed respect. And Undertaker was a heel. And when this match ended, we were hoping Natty would show the respect, and she did. And what Natty did is what we have been saying for a while now. AJ Styles shows up in NXT. That's to give a little rub to the stars of tomorrow. You have the Viking Raiders, which I think is more of, because WWE has a problem right now with the Viking Raiders, but Dolph Ziggler showing up, Natalya showing up, they are there to give a little rub to the stars of tomorrow. And that's what Natalya's job was there. They chose Cora Jade. She might have chose Cora Jade. I want to do something with her. I want to give her a little bit of a rub. And that sign of respect, you do enough research, you will see that handshake to Bayley. You'll see that handshake to Becky. You'll see that handshake from Natalya to a few people. I think she might have even done it with Charlotte when she was in NXT. I'm not saying Natalya is the greatest female of all time. She's not the Undertaker of the women's division, but she's a veteran. She is very well respected. She is beloved by the women's locker room, and people really do look up to her. So if people out there still did not understand why some veterans show up in NXT, it's not for a ratings jolt. It's not because they have nothing for these people on the main roster. It's because WWE is sending someone who's already made it, who's already a household name. Whether they're in their prime, past their prime, it doesn't matter. And they're giving a little rub, a little history to some particular people. And that's a cool thing. You should want to see more with that. You should definitely look, Riddle. They were supposed to do a little with Riddle and MSK. Unfortunately, we see what happened with, Nash Carter. But, it's a little rub to give back. And trust me, a lot of these veterans, when they were very young in their careers, someone who was a veteran back then helped them a little bit. And that is something that they keep for the rest of their lives. So that was a good thing. Now, the women's breakout tournament. These are the brackets. On the left side, we got Nikita Lyons and Ariana Grace, Fallon Henley and Sloane Jacobs. Now, last week, I said Nikita Lyons and Fallon Henley would advance. On the right side, we had Roxanne Perez and Kiana James, who have not fought yet. And we have Last Legend taking on Tatum Paxley. Now, I originally thought about Tatum Paxley winning this all. I think that name, Tatum, look, of course, Nikita Lyons, she's destined. Roxanne Perez, she's destined. Ariana Grace, it's going to be interesting. I mean, they're not referencing Santino Marella at all, which tells me that, she's got to prove a lot, before they even open that door. The other names, I think it's still way too soon. But after thinking about it for a little while, this is who I'm going with in my predictions. Now, I couldn't Photoshop the faces. It looked like I butchered the logos. So we just put the names in there instead. Last week, I had Nikita Lyons and Fallon Henley advancing. On the right brackets, I believe Roxanne Perez will beat Kiana James, and I also believe Tatum Paxley will beat Last Legend. Even though Last Legend still has a long way to go, I think that might be looked at as an upset. Roxanne Perez will then take on Tatum Paxley in the semifinal. Nikita Lyons will take on Fallon Henley on the opposite side. And I'm going with Nikita Lyons versus Roxanne Perez in the finals, and I'm going with Roxanne Perez to win it. I know everybody and their mother are choosing Nikita Lyons. The only reason why I'm not choosing Nikita Lyons is because she doesn't need this tournament to be a breakout star. Roxanne Perez, yeah, we know her history in Ring of Honor. She is excellent. Just think about how much better she will get as she gets more experience. Right now, you know, she needs a little bit extra to get a little bit noticed. They did a little bit with the Wendy Chu, the comedic stuff and everything, but I think Roxanne Perez, I think she could win this all. So I'm going with Roxanne Perez. But I'm telling you, my original pick was Tatum Paxley. And yes, I know, for all you hornballs out there, you know, let's be a little honest here. Whether you like M&Ms with peanuts or plain, you know, they got some very attractive women in this tournament. And that's not terrible to say. Anybody that says that, give me a fucking break. They work hard at having their bodies look like that. And you should celebrate that. Not put a code on it. I'm not being perverted or anything like that. So, all right. You know, when I was talking about AEW before, that was the picture I was going to use. And I forgot to put it up. Unbelievable. So, believe it or not, everyone, we got into every topic that I planned on getting to tonight. So right now we are an hour and 15 minutes in, and I will spend an extended amount of time with all of you answering questions. Of course, our VIP channel members and elite members, our channel members, they get first crack because they're channel members. That doesn't mean I'm not answering others as well. Super chats, obviously, but it's not required. So please do not think that you have to do that. One question that came in earlier, and he's been very patient waiting for me to answer this. Ray Guns, Carmelo Hayes becoming NXT champ or main roster? I go with Carmelo Hayes becoming NXT champion before going to the main roster. Carmelo Hayes has it. I would not rush him to the main roster because there's too many people he would have to leapfrog. You know, right now we have one person representing two belts, and you know who is waiting on the horizon. Now, sure, Carmelo Hayes goes to the main roster. Doesn't mean he can't win the United States title. Doesn't mean he can't win the Intercontinental title. Doesn't mean he can't win 24/7 title. So, sure, he can have a successful run on the main roster without being heavyweight champion. I personally think there is no reason to rush this man right now. You leave him in NXT. You give him the heavyweight title down the line. You know what? If Bron Breakker goes to the main roster by January, then I see Carmelo Hayes getting that spotlight for a little while. That's what I would do. Sean KB, I hope I don't let you down, but as far as the Kota Ibushi New Japan Pro Wrestling drama going on, I have to get more information. You know, it's not a catchphrase. It's something that I have always done on my shows. Hashtag, I don't want to be first. I want to be right. Kota Ibushi had a falling out with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and there are claims of a lot of sexual harassment, a lot of abuse. Now, it's obviously disturbing what he's saying, and a lot of people think what he's saying is true. But when you have a falling out, sometimes you get, you're very bitter. And, I'm not saying that this stuff didn't happen, but I want to see if anybody else talks about this, speaks up about it. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there calling for AEW to cancel their Forbidden Door event. That's a little extreme. Look, what Kota Ibushi is saying is not good, but, I got to see more. I got to see more. Oh, no, SoFly. I do not think that's a work. You do not do storylines about sexual harassment and sexual abuse. Because social media is blowing this shit up. And trust me, there's a lot of people on social media that don't care about New Japan. And they don't care about any of the allegations. They care about, AEW, you have to do something about this. How are you going to ignore that? They just, it's almost like get the popcorn. And I want to get more information before I really, right now it's a horrible story, but, we got to get some more information, some specifics, and let me say this. If anybody's going to say to me, DT, nobody needs to out anybody specifically. You throw a claim like that publicly, you got to kind of like back it up a little bit. You don't throw something out there and then, just leave it very generalistic, because that just looks more of like trying to throw shade and shit on New Japan Pro Wrestling simply because, they're not happy right now, or you had the falling out. Harris B is asking, oh, and by the way, when you do post a question, everyone, put in capital letters the word question beforehand. This way it stands out a little bit, because a lot of you like to chat, and, sometimes, question gets buried and I can't spot it right away. Mike from New York, we talked about Sonny being removed from the Hall of Fame last Sunday. I suggest you check that out. I don't blame WWE if they did, but, you got to also remember, she's got to go through the court process. And honestly, I don't want to, I wanted this to be a Sonny free show tonight. Nobody wants it. I talked about it two shows in a row, and I think that's enough. But I would not be surprised if WWE did. It gets really difficult because you're talking about abuse and addiction, and it's an illness, but it does not mean, she deserves to go. She should not be out on the street right now. She should be in jail. She is a danger to society. She's a danger to herself. I brought this up on Patreon. I didn't want to make it publicly, but I'll say it here. A few people behind the scenes had heard that she attempted to take her life. Ended up not being true. But, as I have said, if I totally ruined my life, even if I was on the streets and I know that I'm going to go to jail for 10 or 20 years and I'm going to lose everything I own and my life is totally ruined and that's it, I don't know how I can go on. I can't imagine. I don't want to ever be in that situation. So, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up. But, if I was WWE eventually, yeah, I would consider it. But you know what's going to happen? And I'm not saying you do one or the other, but if they do that, then everybody's going to say, oh, you got to take Jimmy Snuka out. Oh, you got to take this person out. So, it's fucked up situation. But for me, yeah, I would take her off at the Hall of Fame. I would. All right. Harris B, should Diamond Dallas Page take in Tammy because she's a lost cause? No. I mean, look, she killed somebody. She's got to be held responsible for it. If you all didn't check out my show on Monday, we talked about how much you have to drink to hit a blow of 0.28 at her body weight. She has to drink somewhere between 11 and 14 drinks in an hour. I mean, I don't know anybody on a desert desperate for water, and the only thing they find in 3 days is a keg of Smirnoff vodka. I don't even think a bad cartoon you would drink that much. How do you drink 11 to 14 drinks? So at this point, Diamond Dallas Page, even if you do, like clean her up, she's still going to jail. And it doesn't change anything. Honestly, no. You got too many chances driving without a license. And I showed you a video that a lot of people just ignored. I showed you a video Monday of late last year where she tells the cops, when I drink, I black out. She knew when she drank, she blacked out. So she got behind the wheel, March 25th, drank, got behind the wheel, knowing that when she drinks, she blacks out. So I don't care what Diamond Dallas Page. You can get the guys from Men in Black to lift the fucking wand. And then suddenly, alcohol. That's it. All chances are gone, in my opinion. It's a shame. It's a shame we have to say that. But if that was me, you all nail me to the cross too. Anybody. Alcoholism is a sickness. But when you publicly tell law enforcement, when I drink, I black out, and you get behind the wheel anyway, knowing that happens, no. All excuses are over. And somehow, the haters tonight will somehow spin this that I'm defending her. I don't do a very good job of defending her. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. Thank you, Josh, for the kind words from Monday. I think I've been very fair, what I've been saying. Kaya, do I not check trolling in the chat rooms? There's no trolling going on. Chaos and Austin do spectacular jobs here. If some people are a little critical of what I say, I don't consider that trolling. I think and look, if you see anybody that you think is trolling, let us know. Just remember, I'm the Don, so I have the last say in the matter. So Chaos and Austin knows. You come to the Don, you say, hey, I think we got to whack this person in the chat room. And then I look at them, I'm like, go ahead. It's like Edge telling Rhea Ripley. You nod. We're going to stay another 30 minutes. So we got plenty of time for questions tonight. Who other than Cody is a frontrunner for the Money in the Bank briefcase? Rams fan, good evening. Cody briefcase. I don't think Cody should win the briefcase. I don't think Cody needs the briefcase. This is something we talked about Monday. Cody, well, actually, no, I think we said it yesterday on Patreon. Cody, with that Money in the Bank commercial, you got to listen closely to what he said. If I remember correctly, he said one man and one woman would get the opportunity where they could main event WrestleMania. Watch that commercial again. They could main event WrestleMania. Now think about that for a minute. A lot of people heard that and ran with it and said, well, that's what the Royal Rumble is for. Or no, that's what Elimination Chamber is for. I sound like Kermit D. Frog. Kermit D. Frog here. Oh, that's what the Royal Rumble. No. Take a step back. Cody said you could main event WrestleMania. Think about the logic for a minute. You win the briefcase. Why wouldn't you main event WrestleMania? Common sense. I have the briefcase. Okay. I'm going to cash it in at WrestleMania. What, the only way I don't wrestle in the main event of WrestleMania if the champion says, nah, I'm going to take the night off. Nah. I ate tacos last night. I'm farting up a storm. I don't want to shit in the ring. How do you not main event WrestleMania if you got the briefcase? Why would you say could? Here's the facts, everyone. Again, it's unsexy, it's boring, but it's the truth. WWE's trying to sell out a 60 to 70,000 seat arena for Money in the Bank, a pay-per-view that's considered one of their tertiary pay-per-views. How do you sell 60 to that? You got to make that briefcase feel more important. So they're using cutie words, try to make it seem more important. You cash in that briefcase, you become champion, and you are champion before WrestleMania, you could main event WrestleMania. Read between the lines. You'll get whoever gets that briefcase, I seriously doubt is going to wait until WrestleMania to cash it in. I don't think Cody should be the one. I think Drew McIntyre could be. But I think Drew will win it before WrestleMania. I think it's still way too early. Once we get to Money in the Bank and we see what's going on with Roman and we see where the storylines are going, then we would have a better idea who, should be it. Right now, it's way too early to tell. SRH John 07, is that why Watson Law was created? I don't know. I mean, look, when it comes to laws, you think of Florida or other states or anything like that, even when I talked to Mish the last day that he was on the shows and we were talking about the process, and, he was right. Why does it take so many weeks to get these results back? And why does it take so long to throw her in jail? We knew she had no license. Why is she a free person for weeks and weeks and weeks? Because that's the process. That's the legal system. And that's how it works in Florida. You have to go through a lot of steps to get to that warrant to arrest her. Do you see what happened? I'm not calling myself a genius, but last Saturday, when I first got into that story, first time we talked about it, and we didn't know all the answers then, and I still don't know all the answers now, and we've updated a few things on Monday, especially about the ownership. But, one thing I said last Saturday was, the fuck does Florida give her bail? And I brought up the example of that woman who killed her husband, buried him in the yard. They called him missing forever. And then I think like a decade or two later, there was a tip and they dug up the yard and found the body. The woman had remarried. They arrested the wife. She's out on $200,000 bail, I think, or bond. How do you give somebody bond? You see how quickly now Florida is asking the judge to take away Tammy's bond and give her that detention that we talked about on Monday? Because it didn't make sense in the first place, but that's Florida. I've been saying for 25 years how much I hate Florida's legal system. Florida's legal system sucks. New York is not that far behind. But again, that's how the legal system works. So it's messed up. It's messed up. These mods were the ones who arrested Sonny. They would let her go, ask for a... Kai, you asking us about trolling and then you say something like that? I don't think anybody in this chat room would say that Tammy should be released. Trust me. I have tons of autographs from Sonny. Believe me. I will not give them away. I will not put them on eBay. I'm going to just probably chuck them, throw them away. But I'm not going to sit here and have a bonfire and celebrate on the shows. It's tragedy that she fucked herself up like that. It's tragedy. I don't know anybody that gets that many opportunities and just literally blow it away. Michael Gonzalez, can AJ afford to lose a third time to Edge, assuming it's 1 versus 1 in Hell in a Cell? We don't know if it's going to be at Hell in a Cell. I'm not sold on that. I think AJ Styles and Finn Balor will be teaming up, and I'm still going with my original idea. Since the night Finn lost the title to Theory, I think Finn will ultimately turn on AJ, and I think we will see a feud between Finn and AJ Styles, and I think that would be one of the hottest feuds of the summer. So I don't think it will lead to Hell in a Cell. I think the bigger question is, could Seth Rollins afford to lose a third time to Cody in a cell? Would they dare do a storyline that Seth, can't win the big one against Cody? Larry C. Do I think there's a better old school pay-per-view name of Edge's group? Could they have called them like Armageddon? I like that name. I think they could have gone with that. I'm not trying to be corny here. I think Judgment Day is probably just easier to spell. I mean, they added the word "the" so it doesn't sound like a pay-per-view. Look, it's your Judgment Day. They could have very well said, AJ, it's your Armageddon. you know. But I like nicknames for Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. I like the Gatekeeper. I like, you know, just as a nickname. I don't want them to be announced, you know, fighting Liv Morgan, weighing in at 173 pounds, the Gatekeeper. No, I don't want to see that. Let's see. Nico, why am I skipping over you? I don't know. Did you, I didn't see your question. When was the first time Jake the Snake's theme was used on WWE TV, and whose promo was it for? Are we playing trivia? I'm supposed to go back to like 1984 on a split second and say, when was the first time Jake the Snake's theme was used on WWF TV, and whose promo was it for? I'll take a wild guess. I'm probably going to be wrong. I wish you would hit me with ECW trivia. You will never, ever. I mean, for every 100 questions you ask me about ECW, I might get 1 or 2 wrong. I will score at least a 98 on ECW trivia. I'll throw a wild guess. Roddy Piper, Piper's Pit. Or, I mean, Piper's Pit. It couldn't have been Brother Love, because Jake the Snake Roberts was doing his heel theme, the Trust Me theme. So, I don't know. I'll go with Roddy Piper. Piper's Pit. How wrong am I? Be honest. How wrong am I? Let me ask you quick all in the chat room. Which Jake the Snake Roberts theme did you like more? His babyface theme or the heel theme? Trust me. Trust me. Can you? No. Wait. Will you trust me? Will you trust me? I like the heel theme. Love the heel theme. Will Sting ever get an AEW title run, Twix? No. Sting's rules, you know, maybe a trios title, you know, that's always a possibility, but nah, that is a special attraction novelty. And I wouldn't want championship belt on him. All right. Harris is hitting me up with an ECW trivia. What was Bubba Ray Dudley's first gimmick before he re-debuted as a Dudley? He was Mongo. He came out as Mongo. And try a little harder, Harris. Like a bodyguard. Mongo. Buffangul. Every time I get it right, I get to go Buffangul. You got to do better than that, Harris. Much love. Javier, what's up? Any update on Io Shirai? Is she still in NXT? I heard that she was out with a little injury. You know, right now they're doing the Breakout tournament for a week or two. There was some rumors of her going to the main roster. I would say let's give it another week or two, and then we should have some more info on that. Yeah, you all got to look up Bubba Ray when he was Mongo. Question for me, am I the father? No, I am not the father. But if you go to my Twitter, I posted a picture of my great-grandfather today. No joke. My great-grandfather that was born in the 1800s. And I want you all to look at it. I'll show it here Sunday for a goof. Tell me if I look like my great-grandfather. I'm going to start posting pictures of like my family from like the 17 and the 18. I don't think they have pictures in the 1700s, but I got a couple of pictures coming. Bidding war for AEW title TV rights? No, not right now. Definitely not right now. AEW is doing fine. They got to take it nice and slow. Villain, was I a fan of New Jack and ECW? Absolutely. Absolutely. New Jack was one of my favorites. Bailed that guy out of jail once. A lot of you know that story. New Jack, you know, should I tell him the quick story about my car accident? All right, I'll take 30 seconds. I got into a car accident in 96, almost killed me. In a wheelchair for 9 months. And I still have pain to this day. I got permanent injuries. And my ex, who I was married to for a few months, and I got the marriage annulled, she was not a wrestling fan. She wrote to WCW, ECW, and WWF saying that I was a diehard wrestling fan. She knew that I was doing backyard stuff to try to train because I always wanted to be a wrestler, and then I had my car accident and fucked it up. And she said that I loved ECW. And if anybody could send something, and New Jack calls me up. And he called me up about, I would say 7 months after my accident. I was in my office. And he called my office, and I answered. We talked about it on an episode once. I answered the phone, and all I hear is, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to name my company. And he's like, who's this? I said, this is Anthony. Who's this? New Jack. New Jack. New Jack. Oh, New Jack. You ain't no kid. Thought I was a kid. Thought he was calling a little kid that got into a bad car accident. No, no, I'm in my 20s. What are you talking about? And I told him at that time, I said, you know, I said, one day I'm going to be able to return the favor. And one day he got arrested and he was in jail, and they did an eBay auction to try to bail him out. And I won the eBay auction. I bailed him out of jail, and I told his girlfriend at the time, I don't want the prize. True story. Harris trying to hit me with more trivia. Who was the first man to ever kick out of the Superfly Splash? And what's up? I'm not Rain Man here. I'm not going to start getting into stuff like that. What event? I would have to think about it. You're asking me. I mean, plus you're going back to NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling. I mean, you go back that far. I mean, that's a little bit too far. It's not Morocco. I almost want, and it can't be Tommy Dreamer. I got to think about that one. But we're talking about Extreme Championship Wrestling, not this NWA Eastern Championship shit. Because put it this way, that wasn't even ECW technically yet. That was Eddie Gilbert, you know, and then giving it to Todd Gordon and then Paul Heyman eventually. Be a little better with that. But I'm thinking about that time with Snuka. Sandman was around, but was not, you know, the Sandman yet. It was almost like a surfer type. Who's the big black guy in ECW that jumped off the top rope and snapped his leg in half? Snapped his leg in half. Black guy in ECW. Black guy in ECW snapped his leg in half? Who broke it? Nobody did a Sid Vicious in ECW. Yes, I met Paul Heyman. Had the opportunity to spend some time with him backstage at one of the ECW pay-per-views. I was pushing tickets for them at that time. Very, very cool guy. Bron Breakker or Gable Steveson, which one world championship or in the main roster first? That's from Run DMG. Bron Breakker will go to the main roster. Well, you know what? No, I think Gable Steveson will be on the main roster first. I mean, you may see a little bit with NXT, and he'll probably just be squashing people, but they want to put Gable Steveson right away. I said Gable Steveson before Bron Breakker on a regular basis, but they will bring him in slowly. Tim Keel, JT Smith almost broke his back. That was in a match with Mike Awesome. It's legendary. That's one of the most disturbing things I ever saw when his spine bent the way it did. Oh, scary. Anthony Alston, had Eddie Gilbert not passed away, do I think he would have come back to ECW? Possible. You know, look, ECW fans loved Eddie Gilbert. And Eddie Gilbert was very important in the early days. Yeah, I could have seen Eddie Gilbert. Even if there was some dissension, I still think Eddie Gilbert would have come back. I think the fans would have loved to see Eddie Gilbert there. I would have loved to see him as a manager. I think he would have done a damn good job as a manager. Who's the fat guy who broke the ring down before the first ever TNA show? I have no idea. Broke down the ring? No clue. Was it you, Harris? Tim, JT Smith, they turned it into a gimmick with him being a klutz. He fought Hack Myers once in ECW, and he intentionally fell off the top rope. And it was scary, but then everybody realized that he did it on purpose. So JT Smith, that's a guy that I enjoyed watching, especially when he thought he was Italian. Hey, how you doing? Oh. Eddie Gilbert taken way too soon. A lot of you younger wrestling fans, and I don't do that shit like you should have. You would have enjoyed Eddie Gilbert. You would have enjoyed it. The last couple of years of his career, unfortunately, painkillers and the pain itself just was catching up to him. But Eddie Gilbert, man, if he would have been around for another five years, man, would have been, I don't want to say Brian Pillman, loose cannon level, but I think he would have had that kind of aura about him. Let's see. I'm trying to mix up the questions so everybody gets a shot. So let's start bringing this home because it's getting late early. Yes, JT Smith coming out to Frank Sinatra. Fly me to the moon. I can't sing any more of it because I'll get copyrighted. Missy Hyatt. Yes, she was married to Eddie Gilbert. Will we get Okada versus CM Punk in the main event at Forbidden Door? That is possible. A lot of people think CM Punk is taking that title from Hangman Page. I tell you, Tony Khan making that bold opinion that Hangman Page has had the best championship run of so far to date, heavyweight championship run. I almost think that if he really wants to cement that opinion on Hangman Page, you almost feel like Hangman Page has got to beat CM Punk. I know that sounds crazy, but right now, I personally think if you really want to cement Hangman Page and his reign, he's got to beat CM Punk. But that's not my prediction. Just saying. Oh, AJ Moore is in the house. Some of the artwork in the background, courtesy of AJ Moore. In fact, I will be changing up some of the pictures soon. And I'm a little lazy on it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to check out some of AJ's more recent work, and I'll probably put up like some polls to let you all vote. Who would you like to see in the backdrop? I mean, I know we're a little zoomed in right now, but there's a lot of pictures in the back. We showed a lot of love to Taz. I think it's time we can move on from Taz a little bit. Roddy Piper will stay up for a little bit longer. Michael Gonzalez, in my involvement in indie wrestling days, was I ever involved in a cage match? I was never involved in a match myself, but I went halves with the Masked Maniac, and we did a cage match. If I remember correctly, I think it was Shane Douglas versus Raven. And I think that was the event that Court Bauer, even though Shane Douglas was advertised for our show in New York, Court Bauer was advertising on MLW TV in Florida. In fact, I think that is the case. Yeah, you all wanted a funny story. MLW, back 20 years ago, was doing their stuff in Florida when they had Low Key and Homicide and Gary Hart and others. They were advertising Shane Douglas for their show. We had Shane Douglas scheduled in a cage match, I believe, against Raven in New York. And they aired it on their TV that Shane Douglas was going to be on their show. And Shane Douglas contacted the Masked Maniac and said, no, Frank, I'm on your show. So we told Court Bauer and we told Mike Johnson, PW Insider, that troll, because he was given not physical hand jobs, but anything MLW, he gave front page headlines for. So I contacted Court Bauer and Mike Johnson. I said, look, I know you're airing this commercial, but we talked to Shane Douglas and he's not wrestling for your event in Florida. And Mike Johnson, Court Bauer didn't even have the decency to respond to me, but Mike Johnson says, okay, we'll correct it on the website. The next week, MLW TV, what's advertised for their event in Florida? Shane Douglas. They didn't delete nothing. They didn't change nothing. Everybody in Florida got a no-show from Shane Douglas. They were false advertising him, and when we asked them politely to stop, they didn't. Bafangul. I should write a book, Mike. I should. Jake Roberts was in ECW for I wouldn't even say a cup of coffee. It was like a little shot of espresso. It was just novelty. It was novelty. If you talk about him having any ECW career, you put it in the same sentence as Jim Cornette, which was nothing. Yeah, Court Bauer, I don't have any issue with him anymore. Court Bauer ended up being a pretty cool guy. I mean, I understand why they did what they did back then. I have no angst against Court Bauer at all. Guy is a good guy. I mean, I know a lot of people really don't put MLW high on the food chain, even in indie wrestling, but I have no issue with Court Bauer. None at all. So, 7-8 minutes. We're going to be wrapping it up. We'll finish exactly 2 hours tonight. I don't remember Ron Simmons' theme song in ECW. I thought you were going to ask me like matches and reigns, theme songs. If we start doing theme song trivia, you give me a day to refresh my memory and I'll beat them all. Who's on my Mount Rushmore of ECW? Anthony, that's a good one. My Mount Rushmore, without thinking too long about this, Shane Douglas, Terry Funk, Rob Van Dam, probably Tommy Dreamer. Yeah. Look, there's a couple other great choices. We go tag teams, obviously, I put Dudley's and some others, but Terry Funk has to be there. Shane Douglas, yeah, I would put Shane Douglas there as well. Do I think Hangman Page is going to turn heel or stay face? I think he stays face. CM Punk, no matter how much of an asshole CM Punk is, and yeah, he's an asshole, very disrespectful. Unless you jerk off AEW, if you're an older timer or a veteran, unless you jerk off AEW, or unless you keep silent, you're an old dipshit that should die on a podcast. Like, your voice doesn't matter. That the fact that people can't leave, their comment in the comment box, that's just the way he is. Doesn't take away that he's one of the top wrestlers, and he is magic and money on the microphone. CM Punk being a heel, I don't know if that Hangman Page could really back it up as a heel. I'm not saying that he wouldn't do a good job, but CM Punk just ripping the shit out of the Fed. Look at Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson killed it as a heel in AEW. Now he's obviously a babyface. I think the money's putting Punk as a heel. Raven would be a good choice, Larry. It's not that, I love Raven. If the Mount Rushmore could be 5 people, I'd probably put Raven there. The only reason why I keep Raven off is because, he was there from 95 to 97. I think it was 97. And, he left for WCW, came back for a little while, but I don't know. I would listen. If Cactus Jack would have been there a little bit longer, I'd put Cactus Jack easily on the Mount Rushmore. Not everybody could be in the Mount Rushmore. Terry Funk is number 1 for me. Terry Funk's my favorite wrestler of all time. It will never change. Shane Douglas just wasn't really a cartoon character. Shane Douglas in 1995 for the WWF was not a good mix. They did the Dean Douglas stuff, And it was funny, troll funny, but was not a good mix. I liked Shane Douglas in WCW a hell of a lot more than I liked him in WWF. They put him with Tori Wilson for a little while. Ric Flair versus Jay Lethal. I do not want to see that as a match. Maybe Ric Flair interacts a little bit, either to help Jay Lethal or to throw a couple of punches. But no, I think that's Ric Flair just working out. All right. We got about 3.5 minutes left. I want to finish at exactly 2 hours tonight. Don't forget, Saturday, I will be here for the Don Tony Show at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. I already have a half a dozen very, very strong topics we're going to get into. It's going to be a really good conversation. Don't forget, tomorrow we have the watch parties. We have AEW Rampage from 5:30 to 6:30, and then we will have SmackDown from 8 to 10. The funny thing with SmackDown is I think I'm going to be on location tomorrow. I'm supposed to go over to the fiance's house, and I think she has a webcam. If not, I may have to run the watch party through my iPhone, which is going to be a first. But we will definitely do a SmackDown watch party tomorrow. And I haven't thought about what we're going to give away yet, but I'll definitely come up with something pretty cool. So Chaos had the honor to work with Terry Funk and took the left tape fist. Wow. Couple of chair. Oh, man. Terry Funk getting a chair shot from him. My favorite, for me, the closest I got from that, and I'm sure you've seen it, when I did timekeeping for XPW's first event, Hot Style Takeover in the ECW arena when he fought Shane Douglas and ripped his arm open. If you watch that event again at the beginning, he picked up chairs and started throwing them at ringside, and he picked up a chair, looked at me, and threw it right at me. I mean, he doesn't try to hit anybody, but, you know, it was cool, but it was also a little nervous because, you know, he looked at me and then threw that chair towards me, and I flinched. Didn't hit me, though. Terry Funk will always be my favorite, man. I'll never forget. I had lunch with Terry Funk and Mick Foley in Philly. They did Terry Funk did a shoot interview with our video. I went all the way down to Philly, took pictures with both of them, and the picture is still on my Twitter account. Had lunch with them, drove all the way back to New York, and Feinstein told me, call around this time and you could be in the shoot interview. And right before I got to my house, I got into a road rage incident with someone. And they literally, the girl in the other car and my ex started pulling each other's hair. The cops had to be called. And I almost missed being on the shoot interview because I had a road rage incident. And then I told Terry Funk about it. And then he sends me a whole bunch of stuff. And that's where the jail comments came in. So Terry Funk's awesome, man. All right. I think we are done. We are an hour and 58 and a half. I thank you all for spending some time tonight. On the way out, if you enjoyed tonight's show, I would very much appreciate it if you throw a thumbs up, hit that like button. It does help with the algorithm. It does recommend the show to others when you do that. And leave a comment, question in the chat. I will answer any questions in the comment section afterwards if I didn't get into yours tonight. And once again, if you're around tomorrow, join us in the watch parties. If not, Saturday night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern. 8:05 p.m. Eastern. I will be right here for the Don Tony Show. And then Sunday, we got the sit down. Calls will be returning. Hopefully, I don't have to deal with any side effects with this COVID shot. I don't think I will because it's half the medicine. So I'm hoping we have no issues. So, but thank you, everybody. Be well. Stay safe. And I'll catch you all again either tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. Good night, everybody. Wow. Tonight went fast. No bullshit. Time flies when you're having fun.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.